Hello there, everyone. TheAndrata here, and welcome back to All the Mods 9 to the Rainy Sky, where today we are, we start out by trying to make a mob farm, and then we quickly realize that we need to pivot into Mechanism. So, yeah, today's a Mechanism episode. Let's get started. Welcome back, my friends, to another wonderful day here in the world of TheAndrata, where today, we've got some things that I'd like to work on. I think it's time for us to start working on getting ourselves a nice little mob farm set up. So that way, we can farm all the mobs and do all the things and get all the ability totems. That's mainly what I'm looking for, is the ability totems, because there's a specific ability totem that I would like to get myself, which would be kind of nice. It's called Flight, so I don't need a jetpack anymore. So we're aiming for that. So yeah, let's get on started. So in between episodes, I didn't do terribly too much. Last episode, we left off automating this. It has been working fantastically. No issues with that anymore. I know that there was probably easier ways for me to do this. I didn't necessarily need to integrate applied energistics with laser IO to handle all this. I could have just had the flux or the pattern providers hooked directly up to the inscribers and really not had any issues with it. But I wanted to go this route, right? I didn't want to. Let me take these things out because we had extras, remember, from all those flub ups. So those can just chill in there for whenever we need them. It's not a big deal. Over here, the only thing I did last episode in between was set up patterns for these machines, all of our thermal machines plus our smelter. You're going to notice that we have these things called the extended pattern providers. That is from Extended Patterns or AE2 Extended. And it's really simple to make those. Where are they at? There they are. It is capacity cards, engineering processor, and then a pattern provider. And the capacity cards are super simple. It's just Certus quartz and a basic card, which is this recipe here. But it takes the pattern providers from only having room for 9 recipes to having room for 36 recipes. So much better. And it only takes 2 pattern providers. Oh, sorry, only 1 pattern provider, 2 capacity cards. So yeah, definitely it's for machines that you're going to have a lot of recipes for, like, for example, making all of the different plates that we have available to us. I updated the pack, by the way, to 1.0.6, and apparently I lost my anchor here. So that was, we want recent, and we want barrel mixing, barrel fluid transform. Okay, turn those off. Anyway, when you have multiple recipes like this, super convenient to being able to have all of the different patterns inside of here. Outside of that, I believe you can hook, like if I were to put a chest here, I can put multiple pattern providers on the side of the chest, because remember, AE2 doesn't know what it's pushing into. When you do that, though, as far as I understand, you need a importer or a import bus in order to handle the import at that point, because the pattern providers are just putting into a chest like we have over there, and not going into, it won't be able to go back into the pattern provider like that. Something like that. Yeah, anyway, so we have this going. We have smelting. I know we only have 2 in here for now. I'm sure we're going to have more recipes that are going to require smelting, so we have that going. And then our induction smelter has a bunch of recipes. I just taught it all of the recipes that are in the system, or like in JEI for induction smelting. So quite a few recipes in here, things that we don't have access to just yet. But I figured, you know what, we're ready to go. We have them in there. We don't have to worry about it. Before we get started today, though, I do want to point out, it was mentioned in my comments. Let me pull it up really quick here by, is it Theron Martin 260? I'm so confused with YouTube because they updated a while ago where they now have everybody has their, username, their @username, but then you can click into their profile and it actually has you can set your display name. I mean, like most social media, but now I don't know what to call everybody, because in YouTube Studio, if you don't know, YouTube Studio is where you manage your YouTube. It only gives me the @names, your channel names, I guess is what that's called. And it doesn't give me the actual name. So do I say people's @names, or do I have to click into your profile and say the name that you have as your display name? I don't know. I think I'm going to go with @names for now and just leave it that way. And then if y'all have suggestions, let me know. So that's Theron Martin 260, or Theron Martin 260. Anyway, he said that for our obsidian, last couple episodes, we had made obsidian here with our magma crucible, or I'm sorry, our blast chiller. And he said there's an easier way. Don't have to worry about all that. Doesn't use all that power. Stone barrel, oak leaves on top of it. Not gonna work. Let me get some more leaves. Let's do this. Sure, stairs. Doesn't matter. Something I can do to place that. Okay, so leaves. Waterlog it. Okay. Then just put lava in here. You know what? And that makes sense, because you have to put the lava in first, then the water. Since the water is on top, I'm assuming because it touches the lava, it's going to turn into obsidian. Yep, there we go. So then I would just need to feed obsidian into this, or feed lava into this, and it turns into obsidian. And no power needs to be used at all. The magma crucible is not like super power hungry. It's only 20 RF. So I'm sorry, the blast chiller, 20 RF when it's operating. So it's not terribly a big deal for me right now, but way easier for early game. Like at this point, I don't need this setup. But early game, this would have been so handy to have. So thank you, Theron, for letting me know about that, because anybody watching this who's still in early game, that is definitely an easy way for you to get obsidian. And I will keep that in mind for future playthroughs. I'm using Ex Deorum or Ex Machina or whatever X mod that we have going on. Anyway, so today I'd like to get ourselves set up with a mob farm. Oh, by the way, I always have a by the way, don't I? I set up a matter condenser from Applied Energistics 2. Super simple to make. It's actually not really cheap. But I know we were going to need some singularities at some point if we want to make a quantum bridge and everything. So matter condenser, 256K storage component, which, as you know, we have the capability of making because we have one down there, or 4 of them down there. And you just feed it in with a cobble gen, let it do its thing, and it makes singularities. It has to have 256,000 of any one item going into it, and then bada bing, bada boom, you get singularities out of it, and then you can utilize these to create quantum bridges. They're also used for other crafts throughout the series. So a transmutation terminal, the Nexium emitter is part of the All the Mods star. There is inscribing if you want to make an accumulation press. I don't even know what this is, an accumulation circuit. You make accumulation processors, which makes the mega storage components. So you could store 256 million items inside of your thing, or a mega interface. Is this a mega? A mega pattern provider supports processing patterns only? Huh. I'd be interested to set these up and see how many patterns a mega pattern provider can hold. Add it to the to-do list. I didn't know that. I looked for pattern provider. I didn't see this. I just saw the extended one. Anyway, mob farm. So mob farm is going to be, we're going to utilize mob grinding utilities to set up our mob farm. I think it's probably the easiest, and it's the most... I don't know the words I'm trying to go for here. It's the most convenient, I guess. It acts as a player when you kill the mobs, so you get the most drops and experience. When you kill mobs utilizing not thermal but industrial foregoing, it does act as a player, but the experience turns into liquid. This gets everything that you can get from killing mobs as a player, and you can add fortune to it, beheading, sharpness, and all that stuff to make it kill mobs faster. So it's the way that we're definitely going to go with this, okay? And it should be fairly simple to get us set up. So let's go ahead and get our requisite machines that we're going to need for this, and then I have an area already set up for us for our mob farm, way 1,000 blocks out into the distance. And yeah, we'll have our mob farm set up out there. That way it's out of our way. We don't have to hear it. We don't have to deal with it, but we can have all the items pipe into, let's say a stable wormhole. Do I have an extra one? I happen to have an extra one from when we had this set up over there. So we can have items pipe into a stable wormhole. There we go. Liquids, the experience is the only thing that I don't know how we're going to handle. Maybe instead of doing wormholes, we do ender tanks. I mean, the wormhole's fine. Ender tank for the experience we'll take care of. Something like that. Yeah, anyway. All right, so we got that going. We'll take care of that later. But anyway, so let's get things going. So for mob grinding utilities, there's a couple things that you need. First things first is you need some way to spawn the mobs. Yes, mobs will spawn automatically, but we don't want to wait. We want them to come in as fast as they absolutely can. So with mob grinding utilities, you have what is called the chicken feeds. Those chicken feeds are going to create the 2 eggs that you can get from this mod pack. You can get the golden egg, which is going to create a 5x5 area of delightful dirt. Delightful dirt spawns passive mobs for you, so cows and sheep and all that stuff. And then there is the rotten egg, which spawns a 5x5 area of dreadful dirt. Dreadful dirt spawns the hostile mobs. Okay, and in order to get those, you have to get nutritious chicken feed and GM chicken feed, and then utilize that on a chicken. Feed it to a chicken, creates an egg. Pretty simple. Luckily for us, we have everything that we need to make this. Except for, I thought I had some beetroot. Oh, I had beetroot seeds. I must have got those seeds from farming dirt long ago, or whatever it is that gets us seeds. So we can just do this. Give me a beetroot. Okay, cool. Don't need you to necessarily be there anymore. Okay, so we got our beetroot. Anyway, so the only thing that we're missing here is our bucket of experience. And if we look through here as it scrolls through, we're going to see that we can get, okay, it doesn't show it in there. I believe, let's not be wrong, because that would really suck, that we can pull our experience out of our crystal that we have. Can never have enough buckets, right? So if we come over here to our experience crystal, we should, let's pop all of our levels into there. I should be able to scoop buckets of experience out here. And it's the industrial foregoing essence that we get from this, which is kind of nice. I don't have to worry about converting that over or anything for any sort of crafts. So we get buckets of essence out of there. And that literally took only 1 level, which is not too bad. Okay, so now that we have our buckets, we can go ahead and make our nutritious chicken feed. And we can make our GM chicken feed. And with those 2, we are now able to create our 2 chickens. Now, I do have chickens. I have eggs. I have chickens inside of those the yoinker things, but I'd rather just get new chickens. Granted, those spawn babies, don't they? I should probably also get them into a area where they're not going to run away. That would be smart. Can I feed it to a baby chicken? I think I have all the stuff to make another one of these if I need to. Yeah. No, okay. You can't feed to a baby chicken. That would be kind of cruel. But yeah, let's speed up the growing on this. Give them some seeds. Become an adult for me, please. So that I can feed you this cursed chicken feed. I don't want to wait 9 seconds. But apparently I have no choice. All right. So he's going to change over in 3, 2, 1. Bigify, and then feed him, and then he explodes. Awesome. But with that, we get our rotten egg. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get lucky with another chicken. Come here. Sorry. That's my fault. Come here. I'm sorry. You want these. They won't let me. There it goes. I was going to say, it won't let me feed him because he's probably angry at me, but get over it. All right, another chicken down in a few moments. Come on. There we go. Okay. Go ahead and do your thing. All the rest of these eggs can go away, and we can get our rotten eggs going. 1. And... oh, don't feed him the rotten egg. No, let's feed him the chicken feed. Happy birthday, Darko. There we go. All right, so we now have... happy birthday. We now have both of our eggs, golden egg and rotten egg, which is going to make it so that we can craft all of our stuff super simply. So let's see. What else are we going to need for this? Well, we're going to definitely want to get ourselves some mob fans. We're going to need some fans to be able to push the mobs towards our mob masher. This is a very intense looking machine. It is a literal murderator, which is pretty cool. I'm going to need 2 of these, which means I'm going to need 3 total blocks of iron. It's been a long time since I've actually had to craft blocks of iron because we don't have a drawer system set up. And at this point, I'm like, with our occultism having so much room, honestly don't think we need a drawer system at all. especially since I can upgrade the occultism thing anyway. So, like, I think we're going to be okay without having a drawer. It does just make these things slightly less convenient because they're not just in our system, but that's okay. The nice thing with mob grinding utilities, by the way, is that they do not does not require any kind of RF or anything like that either. So let's see. We're going to need one fan. We're going to need, I think we're going to need 2 fans for this. These are the same fans that we use down there in our server room, by the way. But we're going to need 2 fans. And you know what? We're actually going to need 4 fans because we're going to set up 2. We'll do the hostile mob one first, and then we'll set up the passive one later. It's the hostile mob so far that I want. We're going to need an absorption hopper so that we can get all of the items picked up. We probably are going to need some upgrades. What I'd like to do is switch over to this and teach the system how to make these so I don't have to. Because it's, micro crafting, and I don't want to do any micro crafting. So let's go ahead and teach the system how to make all of these upgrades. So you are going to be this, which means I need to teach you how to make nuggets. You also need to know how to make helmets of both varieties. Now this is for beheading, so that we get those, skulls from everything. And then sharpness is going to be iron swords. And then hopefully that works. I may have to allow substitutions on those ones. We'll find out once we get in here and get it going and see what happens. Because we definitely want like the sharpness and beheading so that way we get the skulls and that we get the sharpness, more damage, of course, so they die faster and everything. But yeah, we'll see. So let's look at mob grinding utilities. We're definitely going to want, I think we can make 10 of those. And 10 of these. Those are going to go into our mob masher here. Then we're going to want to get, so that takes care of those. We're going to want looting, but we have to get looting in order to make the looting things. So we don't have that yet. We're going to want tinted glass. Tinted glass is going to be this recipe. Along with coal dust. What's the best way of me getting coal dust here? Am I going to have to set up a crusher? Are we going to have to get into Mekanism a little bit? Does seem that we're going to have to get into Mekanism a little bit if I want to get the tinted glass. The important thing with tinted glass is that it stops light from being able to come in. So it makes a dark room. I guess I do need tinted glass, don't I? I don't have any other way to crush this stuff down. And I need an enrichment chamber. We're going to have to get into Mekanism, aren't we? Before we can get into this. Okay. All right. So as Ross says in Friends, it is time for us to pivot and get into Mekanism before we can get into there, because we can't get the glass before we can get into there. All right, Mekanism. This is going to be quick and easy Mekanism. Do I want to go all out? I should. As they say, go big or go home. As I say, go big or go home. We're going to need a metallurgic infuser. We're going to need a couple of these bad boys to handle all of our different liquids. So we need one for coal. We need one for redstone. We need one for diamonds. And then we're going to need one for obsidian. We're also going to want a enrichment chamber. But in order to get that, we're going to need all that stuff, and we're going to need some steel. Okay, so cool. So we have these 4 machines that we're going to need to get set up. Let me grab some things and craft a few things and find an area to put this, and then we'll be right back. All right, so here is what we have. Chilling out over here by our inscribers. We have our metallurgic infusers. I didn't set up any automations or anything. I just laid everything out so I can visually understand, because channels, is a problem. So what we have here going on, we have our 4 metallurgic infusers, and each of those metallurgic infusers is going to craft their enriched item, or they're going to be able to hold their enriched item. They're not crafting it. They're crafting the things that metallurgic infusers craft. But the way metallurgic infusers work is that you are infusing some sort of infusion type liquid something into a item. Okay, so for example, if we wanted to make steel, with steel, you are making, can I just have steel? Thank you. Steel, you are using a metallurgic infuser to infuse carbon into enriched iron. To make enriched iron, you infuse carbon into iron. It's infusing. Okay. So what we have here is 4 different metallurgic infusers, and each of those metallurgic infusers is going to be assigned a specific infusion material. Our first one here is going to be carbon. We're going to put coal into this guy to handle our carbon. Second one is going to be redstone. Third one is going to be diamonds. Diamonds? Diamond. Enriched diamond? Diamond dust. Oh, well, I have to put the dust in there. All right, I don't need to necessarily worry about that right now, but I will. I'll just go throw this into the pulverizer for the moment. That should auto output up into the pattern provider. Yeah. Pattern provider acts as an importer too. So we'll get the diamond dust going on in there. But anyway, so we have our carbon, we have our redstone, we'll have our diamond. Over here is refined obsidian. We don't have access to that yet because we need the diamond and we need to be able to crush the obsidian. We need a crusher, all that good stuff. So we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. Okay. This block space is going to be set for our enrichment chamber, because when you are crafting with Minecraft, or when you're using Mechanism, if you want to make, for example, that enriched carbon, right? Just like we just did there, we made our carbon, we put that into our infuser, and we can infuse items, okay? However, to get this carbon, we can either put coal or coal dust in there, like we just did. Each one that we put in there gets us 10 millibuckets. If we enrich it, though, we get 8. And enriching it is just using an enrichment chamber. Bam. You get the enriched carbon. So it's a 1-to-1. So you essentially 8x. It's what I always say, and every time I play with Mechanism. So it doesn't make sense to not do this. I understand that we're in a skyblock and that we get infinite resources, but 8xing our resources is too good to pass up. We need to do it. So we're going to get an enrichment chamber set up over there. In order to get an enrichment chamber, though, to start this out, we are going to need to get basic control circuits, and we're going to need to get steel. Steel is the biggest bottleneck that we have right now. So let's get ourselves some iron. We can go ahead and throw in iron. Now, this is going to take the entire stack and do the thing. So let's speed you up so you go a little faster. And then that enriched iron is going to need to go back into this, but we're going to let that process out. We're going to get another stack of coal because it's going to have to get run through twice. In order to get steel, you have to run through this twice. While that's doing its thing, we'll talk about what we got going on over here. I want to have it automated, right? I want to have my enrichment chamber set up here. When I request an item, it'll feed these machines. I want the enrichment chamber over here to be dedicated to crafting those enriched items that we're going to be needing. So what I have going on here now in refined storage, this is easy. I can set up a crafting card with a there's a request limiter, so I can, or with these I can set an exporter onto each of these with a limiter, so I can say, hey, only export 4 enriched carbon into these or whatever. So they'll only hold 4 at a time, so it'll fill up the little buffer, and then there's going to be 4 extra. I don't see a way to do that with refined. I was looking at the export bus. I don't see that there's some sort of way to limit how much it's going to export. It's going to export to the full inventory. We also have the issue that we have to deal with of channels. I currently have 5 channels. If I were to export onto each of these, I would need to have 4 exporters. That's 9. We can only have 8, which means I'd have to run another cable over here, and it's just a pain. So what I decided to do is we're going to take an export bus, and we're going to hook it up into a storage drawer, a functional drawer. And in this drawer, we have a downgrade. The downgrade changes the amount of items that can fit in any slot to 64. So what's going to happen is we have an export bus. We have it set to craft with an acceleration, so it'll just push everything out there. And eventually we'll get it to set up to craft the enriched carbon, diamond, obsidian, and all that stuff. It'll fill up these drawers, and then the drawers have a laser IO, laser node, and sent to each one of these. And inside of these, we just have a item card with a filter that allows only enriched carbon, only enriched redstone, only enriched diamond, and only enriched obsidian, or refined obsidian. So all of that stuff will come into each of these little slots. And then the Mechanism machines are configured to allow the top. And I love this in Mechanism now that we have a preview of the block that the side is attaching to. So you don't have to know, okay, what's the top? You know, if your machine gets placed in a funky position, now I know, okay, pattern provider is up here. and laser IO is in the back. So this should just automatically work once we get this going. I shouldn't have to worry about, waiting or anything like that. So we can just automate it, set it up. The only caveat with it is we're going to keep 64 in stock here, and we're going to keep 64 in stock here. I don't think, I guess we could test it, but I don't think we can have the export bus export directly to the laser node. I need to have a buffer in between. I don't know how to limit our inventory in a single block space outside of this drawer. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how I can't get it below 64. If I could get it into 16, that would be preferable. That way I'm going to end up with 64 in each of these. But if I have 16 in here, it's not so bad of a buffer, but I'm going to end up with 64 extra refined diamond. And then over here, we're going to have, or enriched diamond, and then we're going to have 64 enriched diamond sitting in here too. It just means that we'll never have to worry about it. It is wasteful resource-wise, but for now, I'm not going to worry myself about it too much. Good thing we can handle that power, because I didn't mean to click my time in a bottle that much. So anyway, we're getting steel dust out of this, and once we get the steel dust, we can go ahead and get ourselves the enrichment chamber. Basic control circuits are going to be osmium inside of the redstone one, so let's go ahead and get osmium and get this one cooking up while we're sitting here chit-chatting and talking as well. So let's go ahead. Ooh, those are torches. I don't know why I carry torches with me anymore. I haven't needed them for a long while, but we have them. Then we can go ahead and get this steel dust and put it over here. And oops, we will have all of this automated with those pattern providers here very soon. We ran out of redstone. Okay, 32 of those for now is fine though. Okay, cool. That takes care of that, which means now we can go ahead and make our enrichment chamber. We just need to get the steel casing going. And enrichment chamber. And we're going to teach the system all of this stuff, but this pivot is not where I intended to be at the moment. So input, output onto the top, auto eject, go ahead. All of these are also going to need to be set to auto eject. So let's go ahead and configure those so that they output their items to the top. And auto eject. Okay, so let's talk about this automation that we have. So the first things first, I need to make one of each of these. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to make the redstone. We're going to get the diamond. Now that is diamond dust, right? No, I can just put diamond into that. I don't have to worry about that one. And then we are going to need coal. One of each of these will get me the enriched version, and it did auto eject that, so that's okay. While that's doing that, we can go ahead and teach the system how to make the enriched items. So we're going to say you put in a carbon, or you put in a coal, we get out an enriched carbon. You put a redstone, we get a redstone. You put in diamond, we get diamond. And you put in obsidian, we get obsidian. There are other things. There's enriched tin and enriched gold. I have never ever had a need to use either of these because this is, I mean, technically, I guess we could do enriched gold to save some gold for netherite scrapping, turning it into ancient dust, but we have so much gold. I've never had an issue or need for that. But it is there if you decide you need to use it or a mod pack does require it, you have it. Okay, so we just need to get this last enriched carbon. And then the system will handle the rest, right? It's going to do the crafting for us. So we pop these into here, and it's going to know how to craft all of these. Now, the only thing it won't be able to do is the enriched obsidian, because enriched obsidian requires refined obsidian dust, which we don't have this portion taken care of yet. I haven't taught the system how to make this, so we're not going to worry about this one. And actually, I'll just go ahead and take it out so that it doesn't even jam up anything, doesn't get anything confused. Okay, so we have this going. Now, the enrichment chamber can craft the things. If I wanted to craft another enriched carbon, I can just say, hey, craft it, and it's going to do the thing. So what I'm going to do is get my key, my locking tool, and we are going to lock this drawer, and we are going to go ahead, and before we do that, let us test whether we can export directly into Laser IO. I don't know. I'm going to say no, because Laser IO is technically not an inventory. But I don't know. So that's a crafting card. with accelerations, and let's say we want to get enriched carbon out of there. Yeah, see, it's not doing anything. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. I figured that was going to be the case, but it doesn't hurt to test, right? So we'll come back down here and we will set this up as I was planning. We're going to go here, put you there. Crafting card, acceleration cards, enriched carbon, enriched redstone, enriched diamond should all be in there, and it should request the crafts now. Yes. Oh, only if I do this. I hear it. Yep, there it goes. Okay, so it did request it. And it requested 64 because how many are going to fill up each slot? 64. So it's going to continually request, though, because what's going to happen is those are going to go into here, and then Laser IO is going to send them over to its machine. And so it's going to craft up the coal until it gets to the point where it says, hey, I need, we're good to go. Makes sense? So once it processes these, it's going to say, okay, there's still room in here. There's 0 in here. I need more, or whatever ends up being in there. Because we're 8xing it, we should only have to put 8 into here and then the overflow. But again, this slot is also going to hold 64 of them. So we're going to craft a lot of these. It's going to take a little while. We can go ahead and speed this up somewhat to make it a little bit faster, but it's just a waiting game for that to process. We can speed it up by upgrading our enrichment chamber, but I don't know if we necessarily need to. Do I want to, if I speed it up? No, I don't need to ignore the contents. It can just shove anything into there that it wants to. It's not a big deal. But yeah, okay, but it's working. You can see here, it's working. And then eventually, once it finishes off the carbon, it'll move to the redstone and it'll move to the diamond. So this is automated. What that means now for us is that we're able to get the crusher that started this whole process, was getting this crusher so that way we can crush items with refined storage, or with Mekanism. So we can get a steel casing going on in here. We can grab some buckets of lava. 1, 2, and we can make ourselves a crusher, which will now allow us to crush. I don't even remember what it was that we needed to crush initially. Like it was something that we needed to crush it, but now we can crush. So let's go ahead and find hardened cables. Geez, I have too much stuff in here. There we go. And crusher. Okay. And then we can put a pattern provider on it, and we can automate this thing. So in between episodes, I'm going to let this enrichment chamber back there run. I'm going to let it do its thing, so that way we can get all of the stuff that we're going to need. I'll teach the crusher some recipes. Honestly, I'm probably going to end up having to upgrade this to the extended pattern provider. We are currently using 6 out of our 8, and we have room for 1 more machine, so that's perfectly fine. But this is just automations that can just chill over here that we're, they do their thing and they're good to go. But yeah, anyway, if you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I know it was a pivot. We were supposed to be setting up a mob farm, but that ended up not happening. But Mechanism's good to get into. We've been needing to get into it anyway. It's probably the latest I've ever gotten into Mechanism outside of like an expert pack or something that really gates it. Because Mechanism is just, it's just freaking good. Like everything Mechanism can do is generally OP. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate it. It really does help out the channel. And we will see you in the next one. Have a good one.